It's always such a pleasure to welcome Steve Bone to the airwaves and the podcast platform on Pompey Sound. Steve, how are you doing in this hot weather?
Very kind of you. Yes, not too bad. I love the hot weather, so I'm quite happy with it. Wish I didn't have to work in it, but there it is. Enjoying it. Not football weather, is it? Cricket weather and tennis weather, really.
No, there's plenty going on.
All the football teams are back now and training and playing friendlies, which is far too early for them, if you ask me. But there we are. That's the world we're in, so we have to get on with it. But yes, waiting for Pompey to sign one or two more, really.
Well, I was going to say, the main summer sport for Pompey fans is watching your phone.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah,
hoping
an update the next day or the day after that, or maybe there's been one since you last looked, and so far not a lot. One signing so far, isn't it? I think.
Yep. We must get your reaction to. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say about Matt Ritchie.
Yeah, he's on his way, isn't he? On his way out. As we've kind of talked around it a little bit on here, haven't we, over the past weeks? Because there were some certain things that he'd said and the manager had said which suggested maybe he wouldn't still be around, and now it's pretty much confirmed. He's stayed at home from the training camp and seems to be looking for another club because he didn't get any guarantee that he'd be a regular starter next season. So what we don't know is whether this has come mostly from Matt Ritchie or mostly from Pompey. I can't quite work it out at the moment. We might find out more. I guess we will find out more as the story unfolds. But it seems like even though he's 35, he still feels he wants to be playing every week, because he played. I think he started 28 games last season, something like that, and came off the bench for a few more as well, which is quite a good number. You know, you're playing more than you're not playing there, aren't you? If you've played that many. He wanted some sort of guarantee that would be the same again, or he'd be playing even more than that, and Pompey couldn't give him that guarantee, it sounds like. And I can see both sides, because I can see, you know, if you ask the blunt question, will I be playing every week, the manager can't possibly say yes, can he? Because he doesn't know what his squad is going to be come the end of August. So he would be lying if he said to you, yes, you will definitely play every week, or he wouldn't necessarily be lying, but he'd be making a promise that you might not be able to keep. And yet, I you know, if the squad as it stands at the moment, you would think Matt Ritchie would be a regular starter. You look at his contribution last season, not just with his own performances, but to the team effort. Some of those home games where they were pressing and he was chief presser. You know, he more than proved his worth last season, and I just think it's a shame we're not going to see another season of him, really. The manager might have somebody lined up to replace him, either as a player in his position or that sort of character in the squad and around the place and on the pitch. We don't know. So we're second guessing a little bit, aren't we? But on the face of it, I do think it's a shame if he's on his way.
We will wish him a fond farewell, won't we? We're definitely not glad to see the back off by any means.
No. I think Pompey. You ask 100 Pompey fans before this happened, do they expect to see Matt Ritchie? And do they want to see Matt Ritchie in the squad next season? 98 would have said yes.
Do you suppose the timing of the announcement? Yeah. Do you suppose you make a very good point, if I may say so, about whether or not this news is driven by Matt himself or the club, or they've worked it out in tandem. But you then raise the possibility that we have somebody lined up that we're reasonably certain of signing, who might be able to fill his boots. But equally, do you suppose he's timed it like this because he has begun to have meaningful negotiations with another club?
It's possible, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, he may have known for a couple of months that this was going to be, you know, that Pompey were not going to be his club next season. So he would have started to look around, wouldn't he, and put feelers out, and his agent would have been working on it. So maybe something's quite close. I've seen some people saying he's likely to still be operating at sort of championship level, so he could well be coming up against us next season, which we may live to regret, or we may not. So yeah, as ever with these things, there's probably a lot gone on behind closed doors that we don't know about and we won't get to know about. But as to pick up on something you said, he will certainly go with Pompey fans' best wishes, especially given that he's a local lad. He was here as a youngster, went away, came back. People love that sort of story, don't they? It's the same with Pack and a few others we've had down the years. So yeah, I think wherever he goes, we'll wish him well. And most people would think he'd be a good buy for another Championship side.
Changing the subject, but we're still talking about departures. Old Riley Towler, he won over quite a few hearts and minds, didn't he, at Fratton? Almost mysteriously, because he didn't have any great achievements apart from that wonder goal he scored, carrying it out of defence and slobbering it in from 40 yards.
He always I did, when he went the other day, I did a little reply to the club's announcement about it, saying wish him. I'm sure all Pompey fans will wish him very well. Always gave 100%, didn't he? Was a very good professional servant to the team. He played that sort of half a season, didn't he, when he first came and did well. Didn't get much of a look in the promotion season. He was in and out a little bit. But did okay when called upon. And then last season, when it was pretty clear that he was never going to be a regular starter in a John Messino team, there were occasions when he got into the team. He even scored a goal against Swansea, I think, didn't he? And he always did okay. I can only remember him having one ropey game, which was way back in the 22-23 season, I think. I think he's just one of those, the manager just doesn't quite think he is up to the standard he wants in his squad in terms of Championship centre-halves. And he's gone to Lincoln, hasn't he? A club that Pompey Sound know well. You've got connections there, haven't you? So you'll be following him, I'm sure. And I think, and this can sound patronising, it's not meant to, I think in League One he will do very well. I think it'll be an excellent signing for Lincoln. And you wouldn't be surprised to see them do quite well if that's the quality of player they're signing.
Our Lincoln contact wanted to know what we thought of him, and I said he was a fan's favourite. But for reasons that are slightly elusive, we sort of, I don't know, maybe a lot of fans wish they were him. Kind of athletic, very capable footballer, good-looking boy. Everybody tells me he's a good-looking boy. My wife always said, wow, he looks like a surfer. The headband, the bleached hair.
When he was interviewed, he had a sort of boyish enthusiasm for the game, didn't he? You just felt that he wanted to play football, wanted to be in the team, wanted to be out in the park, wanted to be the one getting the ball and getting his head on the ball and that sort of thing, which is great. You don't get that. Not all footballers these days come across like that, do they?
No.
I think that's good.
I told the Lincoln contact that when you see him, you'll think to yourself what a lot of people thought of Fratton Park. He looks like the kid who just missed out on the auditions for One Direction.
The sixth member.
The sixth guy, who is out there somewhere, but we'll talk about that another day. But our Lincoln contact says he's already caused a bit of a stir. He's sold season tickets. He's shifting merchandise. They're buying shirts with Towler on the back, and already he's creating some excitement.
Well, that's good. I'm pleased to hear that, and he'll love that, won't he? He'll like being the centre of attention, and he'll like being in the team every week. And I don't know, maybe they'll make him captain or something if he does well in pre-season. That'd be interesting one to follow. That, won't it? And I wonder, probably in Riley Towler's thoughts is that, right, I'm going to go to Lincoln, I'm going to do well, and I'm either going to win promotion with Lincoln and then play in the Championship, or I'm going to prove somehow, somewhere, some way that I can play in the Championship to prove John Messino wrong.
When a club signs a 20, 21-year-old, to what extent generally do you think they're looking for that player to have potential and then be able to unlock that potential? I suppose I'm also asking, was he not coming along quick enough?
Yeah, maybe, because Pompey are talking about, being quite open about the fact that one of the things they have to do is spot young talent, buy it, develop it, and then sell it and make a profit and have an asset that you can then sell if that becomes what's going to happen with them. So yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe he was taking too long to realise what Pompey thought was his full potential. Bit harsh on him, I think, if that is their outlook, because he didn't play. He wasn't. If he'd had a long run in the team, in either the season just gone or the one before it, then that would be easier to judge, wouldn't it? But having said that, we always come back to the fact that the manager and his staff see Riley Towler and everybody else in training day to day. So maybe they were just seeing things there that left them with doubts.
That's a very good point. We forget that, don't we? Well, the likes of me, we forget that. They see them in all sorts of circumstances on the training ground.
Yeah. So we don't know, what the manager's full thinking is. We trust this manager, don't we, to make the right decision on players. He might not have a 100% track record on that, but he's got a pretty good track record, in the ones he's brought in and the ones he's let go. He hasn't been proved wrong too many times yet.
Well, we're bringing on the young loan players that we have to give back at the end of the season. Potts, Robertson, Kamara. But then they're getting all the game time, aren't they? Because those blokes were automatic first picks.
They were ready to come into a championship team, weren't they? People like that.
Yeah.
Oh, some of them were, some of them weren't. Still a bit of talk about Potts. I see that the manager hasn't completely ruled out getting Freddie Potts back for another loan.
That was the next question on my list, so go on. What do you think?
Yeah, well, it surprised me actually, and I don't know if it might just be talk. It might be the manager sort of talking up, but putting something out there because he thinks that's the best chance they've got. If you're putting a thought into Freddie Potts' mind, if Freddie doesn't think he's going to get much game time at West Ham, might he want to press West Ham to let him go out somewhere again? And because he did so well here last season, it worked for him and it worked for us, didn't it, last season, him coming here? So that would be the obvious place for him to come if he's going to go anywhere. I'd kind of written him off as a possible loanee for this coming season, because I just didn't think there was any chance of it. I thought he did so well that West Ham would want him in their sort of 20-man squad for the Premier League and all the other competitions they might be in. And we talked on here, didn't we, about a Freddie Potts Mark II at West Ham, a lad called Lewis Orford, who some said was possibly in line to follow Potts down here and be this season's equivalent of him in terms of being a West Ham player loaned to us. So keep an eye on that one. It'd be nice if Potts came back, because that's one area where we're
a bit short still. Yeah.
Not got too many bodies there.
Whilst we're dealing in dream rumours, which are probably no more than 3 to 5% substantial, that's Freddie Potts done. There's talk that Segicic and our new Australian and our old Australian Alex Robertson are practically family, and Segicic has said a couple of things that could easily be misinterpreted that suggest that
it's a classic case of putting two and two together, isn't it?
Yeah. But I want to add to that, because today there's a story in Sky Sports are saying that Rangers are interested in taking Kamara from Hull at a cut price fee, because he hasn't been doing the business.
Yeah.
But Lee Hendry is saying, in response to that, on the 72, that Kamara would be far better off coming back to Portsmouth, because he'll get more game time at Fratton than he would up at Rangers. So suddenly you're allowed to think, we've got Potts and Robertson in midfield, Kamara out wide on the right.
Yeah.
Hey, playoffs, here we come.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of... That's quite a tangled web, isn't it, of ex-loanees and whether they might come back and everything. Once you've had a player on loan, he's in your sort of... He's on your radar, isn't he?
You know what you're going to get.
Whatever happens. Yeah, that's right. So that puts him ahead of others that you might be linked with. And I think Pompey fans would love to see Robertson come back. Even though he chose Cardiff over us a year ago, I think people will soon forget that if he comes back and does okay for us. They'd love to see Kamara come back, and I know, it's interesting that the Kamara name, since he came and had a little tour of the pitch on the last day of the season, that his name has not sort of died off, has it, in terms of links, Pompey links. If you could get one of those two, That would be great. Well, let's throw Potts into that as well as you have just done. If you could get one of those three, even, it would be great. I think Pompey fans would love that, and it would give us a big boost, and it would be a big sort of piece of the jigsaw for the manager. If you could get two of them, even better. You know, you get Potts and Robertson together in midfield with Dazal there and Packers back up. That's suddenly looking quite a strong department, isn't it? And if you know, just coming back to Ritchie, I think I might have said, or you might have said, somebody said somewhere a few weeks ago, you know, if Ritchie is not going to be around, is it because they have got wind that they are maybe going to get Kamara back to play on that right hand side?
Yeah, I think it was us, you and me,
which would be in Ritchie's spot on the pitch, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't know. We might be 100 miles off the truth there, mightn't we? Maybe they're not in for any of them. But it's good fun speculating about it in the meantime.
It is good fun, and it's very healthy to have a dream as well. And the dream of having all those players turning out in a blue shirt, the same starting lineup week after week for Pompey, is mouth-watering, isn't it? But it's not going to happen.
That's right. If you had those in the sort of midfield and wide areas, Bishop and Segacic and others, you know, ahead of them, a strong defensive unit which we've already got. You know, we're not too short at the back, are we? That's looking like a very good team, isn't it? That's looking like a team that you wouldn't be too worried about being at the wrong end of the proceedings, would you? I don't think.
Do you think? Are you saying then that we've got I'm going to call them our back five, because these days a goalkeeper is almost considered an outfield player. Are you saying that you think our back five is done and dusted?
I think it probably is, really, because you've got Schmidt in goal. You know, we're apparently giving another goalkeeper a trial in Slovakia this week, aren't we? An ex-Blackpool keeper who's not young, and I can't quite work out why we're doing that, because we seem to have, you know, we've got three. He would be a fourth keeper, wouldn't he? And you wouldn't think you'd need a sort of older keeper to come in as fourth keeper.
Well, fifth, counting the boy who's out on loan, am I right?
Yeah, that's right. He's gone to St Johnstone, hasn't he, Stewart? Which is a good move for him. So yeah, I think we're okay for keepers. We've probably got 4 or 5 centre halves who could start. I've forgotten now whether we've got 4 or 5, because so many have come and gone. But we've got Shaughnessy, Poole, Boat and Matthews, haven't we, to fight for the central defensive positions. You've got Swanson, Devlin, Williams all on the right. You've got Ogilvie and Farrell. I noticed that Farrell's very much to the fore in Slovakia, training and doing okay apparently, and fit again. So I think we're okay at the back, aren't we? I'd be surprised if we bring in more than another one. Although I noticed there's still a bit of talk about Rob Atkinson, even though he's signed a new long-term deal at Bristol City. Some talk, I think the manager is quoted as not entirely ruling out the fact that he might get him back on loan, which would be don't see that we need him at the moment.
Could rock the boat a little bit.
Could do, because if he's coming back on loan, it would presumably be to play, and that puts one of the other permanent centre halves in the position where how are they ever going to get in the team? Casually
dressed on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, that's it. They're not going to want to do that all season, are they? And you've got McIntyre to consider as well, because he's still on the books.
He'll find a home, won't he? He's quality.
I'm sure he'll move on. Yeah, I'm sure he will.
Now, I've been looking forward to asking you this. We did a bit of research on an excellent website called Transfer Market to see just how valuable they rate the current Pompey squad, and our squad is currently valued at £19 million. Right. Which, if you compare it with, for example, Leicester City's squad, which is £219 million, it puts it into perspective. But nevertheless, quite a few players have increased in value. And we've got 7 players now that they value at more than £1 million.
That's good.
The first one on the list is Nicholas Schmidt, who they value at exactly £1 million.
Yeah.
Which means that he has doubled his price tag since he started putting in all these performances for us.
That's probably about right, isn't it?
I think, yeah.
I don't think that's an unfair valuation, really. No. He did very well last season. and made a lot of people sit up and take notice, and there probably has been a bit of interest in him from here and abroad, I would think. So,
at the other end of the table, Marlon Pack, you could pick up if you had it for 200,000, which of course it's an age thing, and also everyone knows he's very happy in the area. He wouldn't want to move to, well, Rotherham or somewhere.
You wouldn't think so, would you?
And he'll get game time, we think.
Yeah. He'll be in and around it, won't he? Yeah.
They rate Pompey's top valued player at twice what any other Pompey player is valued at. Andre Dazelle, by the way, is 1.2 million, which makes him number 2. Our top rated 100,000. Our top rated player with them, value wise, is Lang at 2.8 million.
That's interesting.
That's industrial money, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Where's Josh Murphy?
1 million. Off the top of my head, I think either 1 million or just under 1 million. Again, possibly an age thing. He's either a million or 800,000, which is still very respectable, of course.
Yeah. That's interesting that Lang is that far ahead of the others, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, he had a very good season, and a good promotion season before that with us as well. So his stock has been rising.
Score 4 goals in a game from midfield, and some owners that's all it takes.
That is true. That's a big factor, isn't it?
Now, here's my question to you: would we take it if somebody came in with it?
I don't think Pompey would want to.
You wouldn't, would you? I'm saying you would not be happy.
You'd have to. It would have to be a very good offer, wouldn't it? And there's Pompey have probably prepared for such an eventuality, and have probably decided among themselves how much an offer would need to be in order for them to accept it. Sorry, the dogs are about to see somebody come through the door.
Right.
So
Amazon again.
Yeah, probably. Fans would be livid, wouldn't they, if Callum Lang was allowed to leave?
They would not be pleased.
It wouldn't go down well, would it? Same if Murphy was sold or somebody like that. And I don't think Pompey have any need to sell players like that.
No.
The other thing you have to consider is where, depending on who, let's say an offer was made for Lang, would it be somewhere he wanted to go? If it was
that's a good
top
point.
Half championship, if it was a championship team who were expected to be in the playoffs or going for promotion, maybe he would see that as a step up and he would want to go. So that
you're so right.
There's always that consideration, isn't there?
Yeah,
players
I think he is a northern lad, so one of the questions would be: has he settled here? Does he have family? We're not entitled to know that, so we don't ask. But if he has family here and they haven't settled here, or maybe his family are missing their roots, those things have to come into the consideration, because you can't just come home to your partner and say, "Hey, guess what? We're all going to go and live in Barnsley." Next year, you have family discussions, and
it's not just down to him, is it?
No.
No. And you do sometimes towards the end of a transfer window, what you thought was a settled squad will then be disrupted by a big offer coming in for one of your key players, and that player wanting to move. We've seen it before. So I hadn't considered that. It's interesting to hear the values of these players. I imagine there is quite a bit of science behind the transfer market thing and how they work out those values. It's not just back of a fag packet, is it?
No.
But let's hope in Lang's case it doesn't lead to a bid. He would be one that we want to see in that team. He's picked up a little injury, I think, hasn't he, in Slovakia?
Oh no.
Yes, I know. Have you seen him and I know. It's the story that you didn't want to read, but you kind of feared. Lang and Bishop have both had little knocks.
Oh, come on.
Little setbacks. Nothing major, although I've seen, when Pompey say so-and-so has just taken a little knock, I've seen a few people reply to that and say, that means he's out till December, sort of thing, on Pompey's track record on it. But I don't know. I genuinely don't think it's anything too serious.
Well,
just they'll have to sit out the rest.
Inevitably brings to mind wondering, this time last year, almost exactly to the day, somebody had to tell Colby Bishop that something had appeared on the screen when he was having his heart, a cardio examination. And we always wondered how that was proceeded with, using that information, what they'd said to him and who said it and how it was couched.
Yeah.
I would hope that they treat him extra carefully when he has that same examination, perhaps very soon. They came back today, didn't they?
So they'll all have the same, won't they? Yeah, yeah. It's a good point.
Because people get triggers.
I guess with Bishop, he would have been still under the sort of care of his doctors since his op, wouldn't he? Just the odd sort of visit back for a checkup and so on. I would think. I don't know. We've not heard of any problems or anything, in that respect. And hopefully it will stay that way. But yeah, I suppose once that has happened within a squad at the start of pre-season 1 year, everybody's thinking, let's hope nobody's going to have any nasty surprises next year. This year.
Like in football, you're always learning. You're always learning new things, new techniques. The press has taken the game over, hasn't it? Goalkeepers playing it out from the back has taken the game over. I found last season, I think I learned more about injuries and their possible causes and treatment techniques than any other aspect of the game. Yeah,
it was a constant diet, wasn't it, of it at Pompey. There was a new, and they keep coming out with new injuries, injuries that you've never heard of before.
Correct.
Abductor muscles and quad injuries and things like that. In the old days it was either a calf strain or hamstring strain, wasn't it, or a groin strain. But it's much more detailed than that now, which is good. The injuries are more easily understood now, aren't they? I suppose, which can only help the recovery process.
Well, I'll shock you with this. No, I have to tell you this. I'm aching to tell you this. I'm not going to identify the individual, but a friend of mine has got a ruptured cruciate ligament, and because of his age, which is 50, they don't think they can repair it. So he's going to have a transplant. He's going to have somebody else's cruciate ligament inserted into his knee joint.
How funny, I didn't know they could do such a thing.
And I said, well, what, is this like a donor then? And he said, yes, it's a donor. I said, well, like as in giving blood? Some young man will go into the hospital and have a piece of his ligament removed.
How strange.
And he went, no, it'll come from a corpse.
Oh.
Now that takes you back, doesn't it? I mean, it takes you aback.
It does, doesn't it?
I said, you serious? You're going to have a...
You sign up to donate your organs, don't you?
Well, part of the deal is he's had to do that. They said, we'll find this. Right. We'll find a donor for you. We will insert this dead person's...
I don't know if I'd like that.
I
probably wouldn't say no if it was, if I was able to. If it's the difference between being able to run around or not, I suppose.
He's had counselling already to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah,
because he said that there's all sorts of things that you didn't realise that you might think, such as guilt.
Yeah,
I
wonder if that's a new donor thing. I've never heard of it. Never heard of such a thing.
I said to him, "Are you allowed to find out the circumstances of the deceased, the donors?"
Probably not, are you?
Well, he said, "Yes, it's a new thing. Now you tick a box, and you're entitled to know whose leg you've got inside you."
Oh.
Well, a bit of your leg, a bit of their leg.
I don't think I'd want to.
Inside
you.
Yeah. We must...
I mean, it makes sense, medical science and advances and all that. Makes sense. It does. If it helps somebody, there's no use to somebody else.
We have to finish on a pure footballing note, though. We can't finish there, can we?
I think we should.
Oh, no.
We'll be on the BMA podcast next week.
But the fact is, we are becoming so injury aware. Football fans have to be so injury aware.
Yeah, it becomes like a morbid fascination with it almost, doesn't it?
Yes.
What could happen to different players?
I'm going to lift your comment about the fact that we got 2 injuries to 2 key players during our summer break. Make a news item out of that, because I think it's a shock horror thing, isn't it?
Yeah, people will worry about it. Yeah,
I'll make it top story, because as they say, if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
Okay, what
we're back to legs and
journalism?
and dead people now.
Yes, we're back to the reptiles. I'm sorry, I'm not suggesting you're a reptile, but some journalists certainly are.
Some are.
I'm going to ask you a rotten question to end with then.
Okay.
Where do you think, at this moment in time, Pompey will finish next season?
Actually, I don't regard that as a rotten question.
Okay.
A rotten question would have been, whose part of a leg would you like if you needed to borrow somebody else's? I think we're going to finish. Well, you see, last season I said 9th, and that proved to be optimistic. We were never going to finish 9th. Once that start of the season was behind us, I think we're going to finish 11th or 12th.
Okay.
Which is not like Pompey, because Pompey are usually fighting for playoffs or fighting against relegation.
Yes.
In this division.
Correct.
One or the other. And we don't have many mid-table seasons. But I think we're still short at the moment, but I've confidence that the recruitment team and the manager are on the case with signings. They know who they want, and they will get a good number of them. And I do think maybe one of those 3 loanees from last year and the year before that we talked about might come back, because I'm an eternal optimist. And I think if they do, and we can have a half decent start, I think we can be free of relegation worries for a lot of the season. So yeah, I'm going to go 11th or 12th.
Okay.
How does that compare with what others are saying, or what you're saying? Is there anything to compare that to at this
You're the
stage,
second to have a go at this. Dean Adams went for 16th. No, 15th, I beg your pardon.
Oh, okay.
15th. So you're both thinking along the same lines, I think.
Yeah. So Dean's going for us to be one place better off than last season.
And I can't remember the last time, you just hinted this, that we would have been happy to finish mid-table. I suppose it was in the Premier League days.
Yeah, you'd always have been happy with.
It's been relegation or promotion every season since.
Yeah, it's really. Yeah, we've been. And in fairness to Pompey, most seasons, since we've hit rock bottom in sort of 2013-14, since then it's been generally looking, top half and looking up, not down.
Yeah.
Apart from a lot of last season when we were looking over our shoulder.
Yeah.
But I think it's a bit of progression. It's gradual. It's not. It's, what do they say? It's evolution, not revolution, or something.
Consolidation.
Yes, that's right. And I think you've got to. It might be boring at times, but I think we'll have a few good wins along the way. Might have a better away record next year. Might have a little cup run. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? If you aren't going to go for anything in the league, it'd be nice to get through a couple of rounds of the FA Cup, get a big team down here or something. And I think we'll be all right, and I'm looking forward to it. And it's, how many weeks away are we now? We are 4 weeks away from the first game, I think. So it will soon be with us.
It will, won't it? All right, Steve, thank you so much.
Thank you.